Hey, Mike Delvisco here with another awesome episode of the Outdoor Showcase. It's hard to believe that the weeks are just winding down here. It's week by week, we're getting closer to the day one of the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and then looking ahead forward to the Alabama Fishing Show and Expo in Gadsden in March. It's going by way too quick. We're already here about a week or so away from Christmas, a little bit more. And before you know it, it'll be New Year's and time to rock and roll in East Tennessee. But got one of my favorite guys with me here. I've had the chance of being on camera with him before, and he Yak Gadget is the appropriate name for what you do because you've got so many cool gadgets for kayak fishing. Um, I don't kayak fish, but you make me want to go every time I sit here and listen to you. But John from Yak Gadget, um, and before I get into that, don't forget that Amazon Roku, if you've got a one of those devices, you can download the Outdoor Showcase app and watch 24/7, including this episode right here, which will be up shortly after it airs. And without any further ado, John, how are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty great. I tell you what, we've been real busy in the off season working on new products, while we've been also having some great sales going on with our Black Friday sale that's actually ending this Friday, and then we've been getting ready for a show season. I mean, we're going to be working 8 shows this year, plus the Bassmaster Classic. That's also going to be a Knoxville later on. So we're doing,
Yeah.
I guess, nine shows technically. So I'm gonna be on the road a lot. I've got a new trailer, and I'm actually gonna be sleeping out of it a couple times too. So we're
Nice.
excited about that. So we've been working on that, and we've also been working on our booth that we're kind of. This booth is kind of like our mock booth that we're kind of getting ready. We're inside the shop. We're setting up our booth for show season, kind of getting everything kind of set up so when we get to the shows we know how to set it up and what's going to display the best, and how we, what kayak we bring to show off and put all of our gear on, and we just love the shows. We love the East Tennessee Fishing Show. That's my favorite show every season to work.
Yep.
Not only because of the location, it's about 3 hours from me, but we get to get people from multiple states. I mean, you got people from Kentucky, from Virginia, from North Carolina, from South Carolina, from Alabama, all coming, and Georgia coming up. So we get exposure. It's terrific for companies like ours because we get exposure to so many groups of people. I think this last show, I think on Saturday, I don't, I might misquote, but I think there was almost like 40,000 people there that day. Uh,
I don't even know that there's so many people. All 4 days are busy,
oh
and
yeah,
it's an awesome show. And speaking of Alabama, you're going to be at the Gadsden show too in March. I'm super
yeah.
excited about that. I think it's going to be a great venue. Really looking forward to that show too.
Me too. I tell you what, Alabama, I think, has been an untapped area for the type of show that you guys bring. And I don't. A lot of people, if you've never been to this show before, the East Tennessee show, do yourself a favor and get up there because I'm telling you right now, it's one of the best put on shows that I've worked. I work between 8 and 9 shows a year, so I've worked all over, and that show just never ceases to amaze me. You have so many different areas of fishing that it covers, and you've got all kinds of craft. You're going to have 3 or 4 different kayak dealers there that's selling kayaks, but you've also got your aluminum boats. We're going to get into that a little bit later because I'm making some accessories for those. So it's not just going to be Yak Gadget. We're going to have some
Oh,
boat gadget stuff too.
oh, cool.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
we've ignored that long enough, and that's the way I
yeah.
look at it. And then you also have your fiberglass boats as well. So there's just so much to do and see. The venue is incredible as well. So the Gadsden show is going to be a first year for that in Alabama. I'm so excited as well because it's right off the Coosa River. Uh, Perfect for kayak fishing. I mean, it's so popular that a company called Jackson named one of their boats after that river, the Coosa, and they got the new Coosa X this year coming out. So
Cool.
what we do is we make kayak accessories. Been doing this. This is going to be my 5th year uh, since I started the business, and we now make all types of kayak accessories. We started off making motor mounts, and then we moved on to anchor systems. And so then we grew our line to having some storage accessories like our crate. We'll show that to you. We've got our crate. We've got our the underneath seat tray. We have a new underneath seat storage product that I'm excited about. Um, a bag that goes on the back of the seat, and then we had an explosion of products for track mounted accessories. And we started with a horizontal rod stager where you can lay your rod down and then put your paddle on it as well. In fact, I'm showing that off right here. So I have my paddle, it drops down, locks in, but then I got my fishing rod that I can lay down. I can't tell you how many compliments we've gotten on those types of products, because when you're kayak fishing, you have a limited space. When you hook onto a fish and you're bringing that fish up, that fish may cause your kayak to be moving towards the trees or the bank. I bank fish, so I may have to adjust. Even if I'm fishing, I want to put my rod down real quick, grab my paddle, make my adjustment, then put my paddle back down, then grab my rod. The flex rod stager system allows you to do that. And in fact, we've taken that a step further. And I'm grabbing a few things here because we now have a bunch of different varieties of that product. The original flex rod, you could have 2 rods on each side and a paddle in the middle. But now we've had so many customers love that product. They said, man, we wish you made it for 3 rods. So we have one. Then I've got people that emailed me, JT, I really wish you'd make one to have 4 rods. We got it now. And what's great about these, and I'll show you in just a second, but now I have people going, it'd be great to have 2 fishing rods, but I want to put my catch board or measuring board on the side. Now we have that version as well. So we kind of merged our bump board holder and our rod holder together. Now the reason why they look the way that they look, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to do this 4 rod holder, is, and the reason why we call them the flex rod is it's the only product of its kind on the market that's adjustable. And what I mean by that is you can take this knob right here, unscrew this, and now you can bring this, kind of loosen that up. Now I can bring this in or bring it out. Now I have the option, it's flexible. So and the whole purpose of this is to lay your rods horizontally. So when you're fishing rivers, the Coosa River or Duck River or even just fishing skinny water in general, you're going to have low hanging trees. Having your rod laying down horizontally is the best thing you can do to protect it from getting caught or possibly broken in those long trees. This tool has just been one of the best things that I think we've ever created as a company. And now we're just giving you a lot more options. But if you put it on your kayak and you want to keep your rod tips protected, then you can bring this in on the front, then bring it back, because they come in a pair. You got one for the front and one for the back. So the back can swing out wide, the front can bring in, and that way allows your rods to go where your rod tips are in the contour of your kayak, and that way it keeps them protected. So we've got 4 or 5 different varieties of this product now.
That's so cool. And John, I think if you remember the last time we talked, one of the things that and I've been in a kayak maybe 3 or 4 times, but in the limited amount of time I've ever been in one, I had issues. Where would I put the paddle when I'm fishing?
Yes.
And
That's right.
a couple of times it fell right out of the kayak. I had to go chase it around, and that paddle holder is really cool.
Yeah, for me personally, my favorite is still the original, the paddle holder in the middle and a rod on each side. And then on the other side of the kayak, then I can put my 4 rod holder or my 3 rod holder. Now I can put up to 5 rods that are horizontal. I'm not going to have to worry about them getting caught in trees. I'm not going to have to worry about them being hard to access. Everything's right there. And if you've been in a kayak at all, having things where you don't have to turn your body to get to things, so important. And I don't care if you're on a large Hobie or if you're on a Pelican, it doesn't matter. Being able to have that ability to do that is crucial. Let me tap that off. So moving on real quick, So we talked a little bit about anchor accessories. One of the things that we put out the beginning of, I don't want to say, yeah, I guess it was the beginning of last year, is a lot of people were asking me, hey, would you make a crank system kind of like the Anchor Wizard, but if you'd make a crank system that would allow you to manage your line, because a lot of times we make some great anchor systems. We have a pole-based anchor system. I'll show that in just a second, but this is a great companion piece. This is called the Quick Winder, and you want to run your line through there, and that way you can crank your line and keep everything managed. So it's a line manager. But then when you hit this little switch right there, if I can show you, it's gonna lock it in. It's gonna lock that in right there. So the whole purpose is, at least for our anchor system, and I'll show it to you in just a second, is when you hit that trigger, it's gonna uncoil, your anchor will drop. And then you can then crank it back up, and then it locks it and keeps it up so that you can paddle to your next destination, and then just hit this trigger, and then this thing will go and your anchor will deploy, and thus locking you in position, putting you on the fish. You know, I love to work banks. I like to position myself to be on banks where I don't have to, you know, grab my paddle and my rod all of the time, especially if I'm in swifter current or if it's a real windy day. So that really is a game changer in terms of being able to, you know, manage all that line, because the last thing you want is a bunch of cords and rope that can get caught around your feet. So if something ever does happen, you do flip out of your kayak, you do not want any rope near you whatsoever. So this keeps all the line out of the way, and it also is a great tool for deploying and retracting your anchor system.
Excellent stuff.
In fact,
you've got the anchor there too, don't you?
I do. I have. So this is the. I'm going to move my camera down right here. I should show it pretty well. This is the quick stop anchor system. And I'm actually going to move it over here real quick. I've set up this. The guys at Jackson Kayak gave me one of their scraps. I'm almost there, trying to figure out my camera angle. I think we're good.
Pretty good.
Right?
That's pretty good right there.
Pretty good right there. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. It's like I'm working in the mirror. So the guys at Jackson, they gave me the scrap boat right here on the back. And so we mounted our our quick stop anchor system right here. We've had this product out for quite a while, for well over 2 years. However, we've made a lot of improvements in the last year. One is the tower upgrade right here. And what I love about this is that this keeps this pole super stable now. And it also allows for easy deployment. So as you can see, it just goes up and goes down, almost like it's got a ball bearing in there. We on this other side that you can't see, we have a little block cheek piece that manages your line kind of like a pulley. And I'm actually going to drop my quick winder anchor that I've got hooked up right here, so that you can just really see how it works. So one of the cool things about this as well is that right here we have a little piece right here called our anchor collar system, and we have a little eye bolt that's connected to this collar. So it's really easy. It allows you to deploy your this pole that comes with the system. We sell this whole system. Our regular retail price is $179, but at the show, and this is the advantage of going to these fishing expos, is a lot of people there like me will have up to 25 to maybe sometimes even close to 30% off, depending on what the item is. At the show, you're not going to get better prices anywhere. You're not going to get it better online, nor are you going to get it better at your local retailer. So coming to these shows is really awesome for the consumer, because guys like me, I can come and offer you a sweet deal. You're going to get a better deal than our retail price. I promise you that. So you definitely want to make both shows if you can, but definitely the East Tennessee show for sure. So this pole, all you got to do is just put it in here like that, and then you put your collar at the bottom of it. And I'm doing all this with one hand basically. Let me grab this real quick, tighten down my eye bolt. Okay, so now, and I always bring the pole down a few inches at the bottom, so if you hit mud or whatever, you're not getting it in your anchor collar, okay? So now I'm tightening that up, and now it's installed again. And all you got to do is you run your rope up through that little pulley piece on the side, and now This can go up and go down. And then you let that thing drop. This is a fiberglass pole that's 7.5 feet long, and it's 4 pounds. So it operates as an anchor on its own. So when it goes down, natural gravity, it's going to lock in, especially if you're in the mud. We're also going to have some little rubber tips that you use for the senior citizen, the canes. They're the same diameter, 3/4 inch. So we're going to actually have rubber tips. So if you're fishing rock beds, if you're fishing rivers with rock bottom, this will then go down. And then if it moves, it's not going to make a lot of noise to scare off your fish. It's just going to be with that rubber on that rock, and it's actually going to give you a better footing grip as well. They even have those cool different feet, and we're actually been in talks for a little while with a cane company that makes those little rubber feet. We're going to put it on this pole, sell it as an accessory for the pole. That way, if you're fishing rock, you're great. If you're fishing mud, you just take it off and do this right here, and it's going to drive right into that mud and keep you locked in.
That's cool.
And it costs a lot less than a micro power pole. I can tell you that right now.
Awesome.
I'm gonna crank this back up using that quick winder system, and then I'm gonna lock that in place. And I'm gonna get that out of the way. So yeah, so we've got a lot of really, really cool things. I'm gonna move my camera back up again. And yeah, so we've got a lot of great accessories. We've got our cell phone holders, super popular. We've got 2 different styles. We might even have a 3rd style at the show, and our cup holder. So we have our cup holder XD, super popular item. It's better than a regular cup holder because it also has little slots in on the top where you can put your fish grips, your pliers, hang lures off of the side, so you can use it as a full bait caddy console in addition to a cup holder. So that's a real popular item. That's going to be under 20 bucks. The great thing about us now is we have so many accessories. We have over 155 different products that we make, and we have price ranges from $3 all the way up to 200 or more. So there's a great wide variety of different products, but our prices are one of the things that's kind of made us a staple in the industry. So we're going to have great deals at the show. You're going to be able to see a whole lot of product. We're going to have a TV set up in the booth with great footage from a lot of our reviewers and also pro team members while they're out on the water. So you're going to see some fishing from a kayak in addition to being able to sample and look at all of our products. We're going to have a kayak there set up with our stuff on display so you can see how this equipment goes on the boat. All of our stuff mainly is non-drill. You can put it on in a couple seconds. That's one of the things I prided myself on. If it takes you longer than 2 minutes to put one of our products on a boat, we did our job wrong. So we want to make it easy. We want to make it convenient. We want to make it affordable. And all these tools give you an edge when you're out on the water.
Awesome. So even I could do it.
100%. You know, and the thing about it is, well, you're more on the expert level now. But I've had people that have gone out first time, never kayak fished before in their life. I took them out on the water. I had some of my tools. They thought it came with the boat because it was so easy and it made so much sense to them that they thought that those products came with the boat because it blended in with the experience of using that kayak for the first time so well. They understood what that stuff was and how to use it. They didn't have to ask me any questions. They thought it was just came with the boat. And I'm like, nope, those are all Yak Gadget products that are add-ons that make it better. And they're like, well, if I bought this boat, I'd have to buy all this stuff because I wouldn't want to go out there without it because it made my experience so darn enjoyable, which is one of the best compliments I could ever be paid. I'll tell you that right now.
Awesome. And we are up against the commercial break, but if people want to find you before now and in the East Tennessee Fishing Show and then again in the Alabama Fishing Expo, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
You go online, go to www.yakgadget.com. That's YAK gadget.com. So just go to yakgadget.com. You can also find us, look up Yak Gadget on Facebook or Instagram. You can also find us that way.
Awesome. John, I can't wait to come visit you here at the East Tennessee Fish Show. It is going to be here before we know it. Christmas will be gone, New Year's will be gone, and then show season starts, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, we got a little bit over 4 weeks, so I'm really excited as well. Like I said, it's my favorite show of the year, so that's the show we want to show out for. So we're going to have a killer booth set up for you guys. We're also going to be near the kayaks this year. Before we were like a little bit farther away from the kayak stuff, so we're going to be closer to all the kayak stuff. So there's going to be other boats there set up with our gear as well. Frontier Outdoors, some of those other dealers will be there with our gear in addition. So you're going to be able to come out, see a lot of different things that we make, and whether you fish flat water or rivers or any kind, we're going to have some kind of setup for you. It's going to be perfect for what you want to do.
Awesome, John. Thanks so much for being on, and we will see you in a matter of a few short weeks.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
There he goes, John from Gadget. Always a pleasure to have him on, and we will be right back with Nathan Light. Going to be talking some smallmouth stuff. He's doing seminars at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. We'll be right back.
Catch the best in outdoor products every month on the Outdoor Showcase. Hosts Sheila Bunch and Mike Del Visco bring you new, unique, and awesome products for the outdoors, featuring guests and segments. Whether you fish, boat, camp, or just love the outdoors, there's always something for everyone. We are live the last Thursday of every month, available on Fire TV and Roku. For more info or to have your products showcased, visit theoutdoorshowcase.com. We'll see you in the great outdoors.
Hey, it's Mike Del Visco back with you here, Outdoor Showcase, and we have a great guest here coming up. And, one of the things that we try to feature, as well as the great vendors that are at the East Tennessee Fishing Show and the brand new Alabama Fishing Show and Expo and Gadget coming up in March, is our seminar speakers. And, we're lucky enough to have one of my favorite guys here the last couple of years that spoke at the show, Nathan Light. 3B Outdoors, and he has there's a lot of guys that come and do seminars that are kind of specialists, and that's what we look for, or one of the things I look for when I'm trying to bring people into the show, because there's a lot of different techniques in, especially East Tennessee, and that the fish really relate to, and the times of all these shows, January, February, March, really lends to what Nathan is really good at, and that is cold water fishing, and especially smallmouth bass. And we got him right here. We're going to chat for a little bit. Interesting to see what he's had going on here the last couple of months and what he's got coming up the next couple of months. So Nathan, how's it going, brother?
Oh, doing well, just like everyone else, Mike, trying to slam everything in here till the end of the year, and family stuff, Christmas stuff, and, trying to catch a few fish, when we can get out there. So it's my time of year, man, my time of year.
Yeah. And, it seemed like the weather was so nice for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then all of a sudden, like the last maybe 10 days, I think it's rained 8 out of the last 10 days. It's raining again now. And we're just not getting a break from this. And, we got Christmas coming up here really soon before you know it. And then New Year's, and then show season is going to start. So we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. And, like you said, the wintertime smallmouth thing's been my deal. I've been doing it now for about 30 years, the tight lining thing. And, everyone else is loving this warm rain and colored water and rising water and high temperatures. And, I'm sitting over here thinking, man, I'm looking for some cold weather, some clear water and stable water, and so it'll be here. I'm not wishing for winter, but for the fishing side of things, man, that's what we look for in the wintertime. We really love that tight line bite.
Yeah. And I know you're a little bit north of where I'm at. I'm down here in Douglas Lake, and you're up near, Johnson City area, up near there. And our water temperature, I was out yesterday for a little bit, and water temperature was still almost 56 degrees, 55.8, something like that. It's been fairly warm. Are you seeing still some warm temperatures up there?
Oh, yeah. I went up to Watauga Sunday, and actually went up there and with a buddy of mine moved here from Ohio, and we did some dropping and using live scope and the active target, just looking ahead, seeing those fish out there and doing something that's I'm not really good at, but I'm working at really hard to try to gain all the knowledge and keep up these young guns. And we caught quite a few fish. He caught a great big walleye, weighed 8.35 pounds. So that was a good deal. But yeah, I've been getting out there. Water temperatures, even on Watauga, were, in the 53 to, 55 degree range. we were on Cherokee yesterday, actually, Kevin Powers and I, and the water temperatures down there, still about the same in the mid 50s. We found some that's pushing 57 there in the very backs, but our fish just haven't got to where we like them yet, but they will. They'll get there.
Yeah. I've seen some cold weather. The extended forecast is calling for some really cold stuff.
Yeah.
And that's typical here in East Tennessee. You go from one extreme to the other, and maybe that'll get these fish right where you want them.
I hope so. And speaking of the tight lining thing, I've been doing it for a really long time, but you really kind of helped me out a little bit a couple of years ago when you billed me as a smallmouth expert. I'm telling you now, I've caught some grief over that. All my buddies, we'll be out there fishing, and if I'm not catching them or we're not catching them, they say something's wrong. Delvisco said you were a smallmouth expert, so you've given me a tag that's hard to live up to, especially among my guys that love to get something on me. So yeah, I'm not sure I qualify for an expert, but I've been doing it for a really long time, and it's pretty cool. I appreciate what you think of me, but some days out there in reality, I'm struggling just like everybody else, man. They don't like me some days.
Yeah, well, I'm on that end of the ship too. So it's and that's one of the things that you're going to be talking about at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. We've got you in. I believe you're doing seminars on Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We're still working out the exact times on our seminar schedule, but you're going to be one of the things you're going to be talking about is smallmouth fishing, and that's we've got such a diverse fishery in East Tennessee, and the smallmouth aspect is because they are southern smallmouth. They act totally different. So it's always good to get somebody that, has that knowledge, that can do seminars and teach some people about catching these fish.
Well, specifically along the lines of tight lining, I've been doing it for a really long time. I've shown several people, a lot of the pros, that I've got the pleasure to meet and hang out with, they know how to tight line. It's one of those things, it seems like in their toolbox, it doesn't fit a lot of applications, and until they can put a pattern together and reason it out, and all that, they're a little hesitant to grasp onto it, because we typically, we cover a lot of water, and one thing that has changed the game, if you watch the classic on Hartwell, Jason Christie, I was watching it live like everyone else, and it looked awfully close to what he was out there shaking that little, he called it a FFS minnow or forward-facing sonar minnow or something, but man, it sure looked a whole lot like what we've been doing for a long time around here at that little jig head and the Berkeley Gulp minnow. So, there's been some other tournaments, around on Smith Lake and some other things that the application, especially now with the forward-facing sonar, a lot of the pros are picking up on those things and pick off those suspended fish, and that's basically what that tight line does. So it's a killer winter technique, and they're figuring it out in a lot of other ways that we never thought possible.
Yeah, and if you think of some of those fish, that those have always been, whether they're largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, the suspended ones that are not cover related are the hardest ones to catch. That the ones that are strictly live their life relating to bait. And I know it happens in Douglas too. There's so many different lakes that, we go fish that there's a class of fish that just never see the bank. And a lot of this new technology, forward-facing sonar, 360 stuff, is just changing the game. And the one thing that I'm a sonar guy, but one of the things that I learned or have learned from forward-facing sonar is you're not going to catch every single fish. Just because you see them on the screen doesn't mean you're going to catch them. But you can learn an awful lot about the behavior of the fish, watching them, how they relate to bait, how they ambush bait, and how they react just by watching your screen, and that in turn helps you catch the fish.
It does, and I'm sure you're like everyone else. You're watching the social media debates, and of the guys who are not in favor of it, and the guys that are really maximizing it, and that debate can go on forever. And I don't really want to get into that, but I'm an old school guy. We learned how to fish, with the flasher and just fishing visible stuff and things we'd learned on the lake drawdown and mark structure and things like that, even, for a long time. And I've always tried to keep up with electronics, as best I could. And it's one of those things that it depends on which side of the fence you're on. And obviously they're expensive, so it prohibits some people. But at the same time, we've never done anything to slow down advancements in technology and fishing. So I try to, support as much as I can. And there may be a point where I can say, hey, I can't go any further, financially, or I'm not going to invest. But at the same time, it's not going to keep me from enjoying fishing. It's not going to keep me from getting out there and do the things that I really like to do. And if I didn't have electronics, which I've got a jet boat, and you don't need electronics over there. You just stick your rod in them, see how, if you're in 2 foot or if you're 3 foot of water in the river, So
Yep.
It's not all about having everything to catch fish, but man, some of those tools really demonstrate, like you said, how they break up bait fish and how they behave. So it's an interesting thing and an interesting tool, but they're still smallmouth, and you can see them, and you may not be able to catch them.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to have a flasher only tournament.
Oh yeah,
if you can find enough flashers.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of no electronics, and
Yeah.
so yeah, there's a lot of interesting topics out there, and looking back to where we've seen it come from, myself and several others, it's amazing how far it's came. And you look back out there and you think, well, how did you catch any fish there without anything? You basically just kind of used intuition and gut and what you saw on the bank.
Yeah. Well, back then, getting stuck was actually, very beneficial because a lot of times we get hung up in stuff that we'd end up catching fish off of,
Yeah,
later
I know.
in the day or
pretty,
later in the week.
it's pretty crazy. And back to the tight lining thing, I've been doing that for about 30 years. And I get some grief occasionally. Everybody says, well, you claim to be the inventor and all this stuff, and I never claimed to invent any kind of fishing technique, and there's not too many people around that can say they invented anything. And I had a fellow, one of my best friends, Larry Fitzgerald, taught me how in the early 90s. And, we started out with a little duck feathered fly and moved up to ugly head jig. And, then the Berkeley gulp came out. And so it's evolved also, but I didn't invent it. I just really caught a lot of fish on it. Then we started doing the TV show, we did some YouTube videos and some shows. And now you turn on, go to YouTube and type in tight lining, and you're going to see a host of people talking about tight lining, which is pretty cool. A lot of people are figuring it out. It's an easy technique, and if you don't make it too complicated, you can catch a lot of fish. And I think that's why a lot of the what I would call average anglers are enjoying that, because they can catch fish, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I know you kind of do this a lot, like in Watauga and
Sure.
Probably Holston and some of those other ones. Have you ever got to Dale Hollow and tried it there for those smallmouth bass?
I have, and it's been years ago. I'll tell you a quick story there. We went down in the heyday of the floating fly. My buddy and I, and Larry Fitzgerald and I, we went there and we stayed to the weekend actually, and we fished for a couple of days, and we were catching 6, 7, 8 fish a day on a floating fly, and we'd catch 2 or 3 really nice ones, and we weren't really good at it, but that was our goal, to go learn how to do the floating fly. And we'd already checked out the hotel, getting ready to come home. And I told him, I said, we're not very smart. He said, what do you mean? I said, we didn't tight line at all. He said, well, we didn't come to do that. And I said, well, all right, let's load back up in the boat and go out for a few hours to see what we can do. So we loaded up and went back out for about 4 hours and started just tight lining. At that time, all we had was a duck feather, 1/8 ounce duck feather jig. And if I'm not mistaken, we caught 15 or 20 fish in like 3 hours tight lining. Now, granted, some of them weren't the size of the floating fly fish, but man, it was fun. And it proved that we can catch a lot more fish. It's just hard sometimes to compete with the larger fish, in a tournament or something like that.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite places on earth to go fish. I love that lake, just for the fact that there's no houses on the lake. There's, of course, there's marinas and stuff, but
right.
Just the scenery and the way that lake lays out, and you can just go anywhere in the lake and catch largemouth, smallmouth, nice spotted bass, and there's some good walleye fishing in there too, I hear.
Oh yeah,
and crappie.
Oh yeah, and that's the the beauty of living where we live, Mike. I mean, I have a buddy of mine, like I was telling you, fishing with Sunday from Ohio, and the diversity of what we have here in our backyard is one reason he moved here. And he came and fished Norris one day and got to talking, some other guys, and he reached out to us about tight lining, and then a job opportunity came about, and it was a real easy decision, but. You can catch walleye, spotted bass, largemouth, smallmouth, and trout. I mean, if you want to get into all the diversities that we have, it's just really amazing. But, I've caught smallmouth pretty much all over the place that they live. I had the good fortune last year of going to Champlain and Erie, and didn't tight line up there. It's a little bit different deal. We were on Champlain during the spawn, and we were drop shotting using a flogger, which was crazy. That was an experience. And then went November to Erie, and was catching drop shot and swim baits and blade bait. So it was a good deal. But I have caught them tight lining in Canada and all over the southeast, where we've been. And spotted bass love that little Berkeley Gulp too, man. They hate it. They can't take it.
Yeah. And you're going to be. You told me too that you're going to be. While you're there, obviously you're going to be doing seminars at the East Tennessee Fishing Show Friday, Saturday, but you'll be hanging around. One of the cool things about the show is that you can walk around to any booth and visit with your favorite fishing guys. People just show up there just to go hang out at their sponsors booths. You're going to be doing some of that as well, right?
Yeah, we've been doing 3B Outdoors now. This is our 16th season. Hard to believe, time flies, but we've been around for quite some time, and really been blessed with good sponsorships, both on the product side and both on the financial side. But at the fishing show this year, I think there's going to be several of our sponsors. I know there's going to be several. Avid Angler Solutions, their fishing glue, man, is phenomenal. It's the best on the market. And then they've got other products, toolkits and dye markers and some different things like that. And then,
we had them on the show about a month or two ago.
Oh, Kip.
Yeah,
Kip Burnett. He's a good friend of mine, and he's got a great product, and that thing's growing pretty good. He's on Tackle Warehouse, and I think he's working with some more, national retailers. So he's going to have that thing out there, and he's going to be at the show. I think this will be his second year there too. So that's a good deal. And been with Berkeley kind of indirectly for, many years since we started the tight lining thing. It's been a good relationship, and been with Plano for several years. And then Pure Fishing bought, Plano and Fraybill out. And that was a good deal for me. I'm now hooked up with Abby Garcia, Plano, Fraybill, and Berkeley. So they'll all be there, with some of the other vendors represented, but I'll get to be there and talk about them. And, it's a really good thing. But Dixie Custom Rods, Dwayne Wilson, everybody loves those Dixie Custom Rods. And he makes the tight line special, just for me. And it's been a really good seller. And, man, it's pretty cool to get a picture or something, somebody holding up a Dixie rod or something saying, hey, caught your tight line fish on your 3B special. And Angler Tungsten, we work with, Tim Manning and Angler Tungsten. And then Power Pole, we still work with Power Pole. So you'll see Power Poles on a lot of the boats down there for sale, I'm sure, and a lot of guys still use them. So we've got a really good family of sponsors that we believe in their products, and they support us. And we're very appreciative to have them, really.
Awesome. And that's what it's all about too. It makes everything go around. But
it does.
Yeah. And you'll be at, of course, the East Tennessee Fishing Show doing seminars Friday, Saturday. We'll have the whole seminar schedule posted up. I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks to have it done. We're just trying to finalize some schedules now that everybody's got tournament obligations already penciled in, and we should be able to get going here pretty soon on the schedule. But always a pleasure having you on the Outdoor Showcase, and going to be great to see you here in January coming up. Here the show is the 26th through the 29th of January, but we're right up on a commercial break here. Check Nathan out. Nathan, where can they see your show if they want to go check out some episodes before the East Tennessee Fishing Show?
All right, we air locally or regionally here in the Tri-Cities on the CW and also on WEMT and then WCYB. We're actually on 3 different networks, and you can check your TV guide for listings there. We're also going to be, after the first of the year, we'll be on rightnowtv.com. That's a streaming platform, and you can pick it up on Roku and several other on-demand type platforms there as well. So we've got several different avenues, but YouTube, you can go to YouTube, go to 3B Outdoors TV, and we've got over 200 videos and episodes out there too. You can go binge watch 3B Outdoors and have plenty of things to do over the holidays when it's snowing or raining.
Awesome. Nathan, pleasure to have you on here. We're going to take a really quick commercial break, and when we come back, more of the Outdoor Showcase.
Thanks, Mike. Pleasure. Always. Look forward to seeing you in January.
Okay. Here goes Nathan Light, 3B Outdoors. Always a pleasure. We will be right back with more Outdoor Showcase.
Catch the best in outdoor products every month on the Outdoor Showcase. Hosts Sheila Bunch and Mike Del Visco bring you new, unique, and awesome products for the outdoors, featuring guests and segments. Whether you fish, boat, camp, or just love the outdoors, there's always something for everyone. We are live the last Thursday of every month, available on Fire TV and Roku. For more info or to have your products showcased, visit theoutdoorshowcase.com. We'll see you in the great outdoors.
Hey, it's Mike Del Visco back with you here, Outdoor Showcase, and it's almost to the end of another show. Got one more segment for you guys, and all the way from Branson, Missouri, one of my favorite lakes to go fish. It's just a beautiful place. Table Rock Lake. We got Flint from Battle Baits. And don't forget that after this show airs on social media and all the other channels, you can go on over to Amazon or Roku if you have one of those devices. Download the Outdoor Showcase app and watch every single episode, including this one, until you get sick of looking at it. Right now, we got Flint from Battle Baits. And such a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Showcase here for our last segment.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm extremely excited to be here. I love talking about fishing in general, but I love talking about the company and more so even about the upcoming Tennessee Outdoor Fishing Show that's coming up. And I'm just doing my best as a single man company to prepare as best I can to be in front of a whole new crowd for me.
Yeah. So have you done the East Tennessee Fishing Show before?
I have not. I'm actually originally from the West Coast. I started in Oregon, and I've been building on Battle Baits now for about 9 years, and I moved to Missouri in December of 2020. But even when I was back in Oregon, I had a handful of guys that when I was prepping for West Coast shows that were saying, if you ever move out to the Midwest, or if you can ever bring it out to the Midwest, you got to do East Tennessee Fishing Show. So the last couple of years have been a little bit busy for me trying to get up and running and situated in a new location. And I just haven't, over the last 2 years, I haven't done any outdoor fishing shows.
Right.
And I have a real good friend that is a bait builder in Oregon as well. And we were talking several months ago about getting back into the shows. And we said, hey, if we're going to do one, we're going to do it right. And I'd heard about the East Tennessee show in Knoxville for a number of years. So I was actually able to convince him to come on out. And so he's flying out. He's located in Washington State. So he's going to fly out and link up with me, and we're going to U-Haul it over, and we have our booths right next to each other.
Awesome.
So very, very excited. He's a crankbait builder, and I do jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, swim bait accessories as far as underspin swim bait heads. And so it's going to be awesome to be in front of a new crowd, but it's going to be awesome to spend that time with a buddy that I haven't seen in a couple years, and just really expose our companies to a whole new demographic that we haven't been a part of too much.
Yeah, and one of the unique things about the show is that we don't just draw people from Tennessee. Of course, there's tons of crazy Tennessee fishing fans that come to the show, but there's people from over 20 different states that come to the show. That they come every single year. It's a great show. It's a buy-in show, and it is a 100% fishing show for companies like yourself that, they make custom baits, whether they're, jigs or crankbaits, spinnerbaits, swim bait heads, buzz baits, spinnerbaits, all that stuff. You'll see the biggest collection of those types vendors under one roof of any show that I've ever seen in the country. So we're excited to have you. And I'm even more excited to see what kind of stuff you've got. So explain a little bit to us if you could.
Well, part of my problem as a one-man company is I build too much stuff. So I'm trying to narrow down, and I have quite a few buddies that live in Tennessee, and fortunately over the years, I've had a pretty good social media presence and have developed a customer base throughout the country, and so I've been trying to lean on some of those Tennessee guys for feedback on what to bring to that show, because it significantly varies from region to region, and
sure.
So I'm still kind of in a process right now of narrowing down exactly what I'm going to bring. I make, like I said, I make a handful of spinnerbaits. Currently, I'm making 3 different lines of spinnerbaits. Everything that I do is hand tied, and I have almost always erred on the side of more of the match the hatch opposed to real bright, vibrant colors. It's on the West Coast fishery side. Very clear water lakes, and where I learned, we really had to dial those patterns in with lake clarity. So I'm going to be bringing a lot of the match the hatch style baits, but at the same time, with spring coming, the more vibrant colors, reaction style baits are going to be a lot more in play. So I've had to kind of shift my building to the time of the year and the demographic down there. So I grabbed just a couple handful of baits in front of me that I'd love to show off if I have an opportunity.
Absolutely.
I like I said, currently I have 3 different spinnerbait lines. The traditional double willow style. Let's see if I can orientate my camera. Double willow, which is traditionally my best-selling baits. This is one of our flash gill patterns. Double willow extremely well in clear water fisheries, but at the same time, larger blades. Sorry, I gotta get used to my phone being on its side. Springtime, a lot of people are looking for larger blades, whether it's Oklahoma or big Colorados. Just with the time of the year, dirtier water and brighter patterns. So this is our Thumper series. It's a turtleback blade, displaces a ton of water, a lot of movement. And then we also have, and this is what I'm actually up in the shop working on currently right now. This is a newer product to us. Sorry, this is a screw lock spinnerbait.
That's cool.
Just for swim bait heads. I wish I had one rigged up, and I ran out of time from running down to the shop to get one done for you for the show. But I'll have a variety of these as well, with Colorados and double willows, and hopefully some Oklahomas as well. But this has been a phenomenal spinnerbait this fall, just with a lot of people throwing smaller swim baits out here on Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Lake of the Ozarks. This has been a phenomenal spinnerbait. I just been building these around the clock, it seems like. I will be bringing at least one of my buzzbait lines. I have 2 separate buzzbait lines. I have more of a dirty water clacker style buzzbait that's I would say more along the lines of a traditional buzzbait. Very noisy, real loud, displaces a ton of water. And then a newer inline buzzbait series that we came out with this year. Sorry.
Cool, right there. I like that.
A lot more suited towards skipping under docks, undercover. It just skips really well, and it's more of a finesse buzzbait style, but it's just a different application, a little more silent, but both have an incredible squeal to them. Now onto the jigs. I'm trying to narrow down what jigs. I know a swim jig plays a huge role down in that area. Originally, when I first made my post that I was coming to this show, I said that I wasn't bringing swim jigs, and immediately got hit with a bunch of negative comments saying you better bring swim jigs. So I will be bringing our swim jig line as well, probably 6 or 7 different colors of the swim jigs down to the show. And my theory, at least with the swim jigs, and trying as a single man company to build as much product as I possibly can have on hand for the show, was that these are about as time consuming for me to construct as a spinnerbait. And I know a spinnerbait plays a huge role in the spring, so I want to make sure that I had the stock on hand of spinnerbaits and bladed baits that people are going to be after for that time of year. But I'm doing good. I'm building at a good rate. So I will be bringing swim jigs. Our brush jig is our number one selling jig that we have. And it's kind of a modified archy, flipping style jig designed for real heavy brush. It's got a recessed line tie, an owner deep throat hook. All of the products that I make have wire trailer keepers as well. This is a phenomenal jig. I just can't build them fast enough. Also down in Tennessee, one last product as far as the jig line goes is our finesse jigs. And finesse jigs are, I don't have to tell you, play a huge role down in that area as well. There's a lot of river fishermen. There's a lot of creek fishermen. There's some phenomenal smallmouth fisheries down and around that area. I have a whole bunch of buddies that are river hoppers and creek hoppers that chase some really cool fish. So I'd definitely be bringing the finesse jigs as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing about East Tennessee, and I'm sure that you know this, but doing some research before coming down, is that, we've got Fort Loudon, Tellico, Watts Bar, Dale Hollow, although that's a little more central, South Holston, which is another great smallmouth fishery, Cherokee Lake, great smallmouth fishery, deep and clear. I live on Douglas Lake here in East Tennessee, and it's totally different from all the others. So there's so much diverse water and so many people that fish different styles, different methods, different lakes, that you've got to have a little bit of something. I think you're doing a great job picking what you're going to bring.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It seems a little bit daunting as a single man operation at times, but I'm just fortunate that I'm not going into it blind. I have some real good buddies that have lived in Tennessee, and they're pointing me in the right direction as best they can to show up prepared.
Yeah, I did notice a little Ned head on your Facebook page. That's becoming another increasingly popular deal here on the lake, especially because of the fishing pressure that we're getting here in Eastern Tennessee, along with, I'm sure you see it on Table Rock too.
Absolutely.
Those high school tournaments, college tournaments, jackpot tournaments. There's a tour event here every year. So that Ned and finesse style fishing is really popular now too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Table Rock, I think, on the spectrum of lakes nationwide is a pretty darn clear water fishery. Yeah. And when I first moved here, everything was that I was kind of encountering and fishing with people was very based around football jigs and big heavy football jigs, and they still are a staple in anyone's boat. I always have one tied on when I go out, but I found more and more success throwing smaller profile finesse jigs as time's progressed, and I've spent more time on that lake. profile of bait on heavy pressured lakes is pretty underrated in my opinion. And I think that the industry is, as it evolves and baits become better and fishermen become better and electronics become better, those fish are enduring a lot more pressure, and under those more difficult circumstances, downsizing a bait and profile a lot of times is the difference.
Yeah. And swim bait stuff too. Swim baits are really, really popular here in East Tennessee.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping, I've got my tying desk behind me. I'm hoping I do have a couple swim bait heads. Let's see if I can, that I'm planning on bringing as well. This swim bait head. This is actually an underspin. Sorry if I can orientate the.
Yeah, nice.
Has been a real productive bait out on the West Coast, and as moving to Table Rock, a lot of the shad are a lot smaller. So I've kind of had to rethink some of the underspin styles. But one of them that I will have up at the show, and I don't have any up here in the tying room, is a line on underspin, which is a real unique concept and just allows real small baits to get extremely deep. And fisheries like Table Rock, where those fish can suspend in the tops of cedar trees on channel swings and 90 feet of water, but they're 40 feet up, and they're kind of impossible to get a real small bait down to. That kind of new line on underspin that's almost as a teaser rig. It was something that I developed from saltwater fishing growing up that we used, and that's been an extremely effective little bait. So I'm excited to show that off. Hopefully I have a little tank on display that I can run some of the baits back and forth, and people can see how they work. And I'm just real excited for it.
Excellent. We are almost up against actually, this is the end of the show.
Sorry, I get to talking.
But if people want to find it, because we still have a little bit of time, we got about another 5 weeks or so 5 or 6 weeks between now and the beginning of the East Tennessee show. People want to find you, check out some of the stuff, social media, website. Let's get all that out so that it can find you. And I'll have producer Ray put all this stuff in the comment section too, so that they can go ahead and click it really easy and get to every place you've got.
Well, I appreciate it. The website is battlebaits.com. Real simple on Instagram, Facebook, BattleBaits, TikTok, BattleBaits, all the social media platforms, BattleBaits, battlebaits.com. So there it is.
Pretty easy to find.
Yes.
Flint, I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm really the one bait that really intrigues me is that inline buzzbait. I'm a buzzbait fanatic. I love throwing one, and that's something that these fish don't see a whole lot. And I'm gonna come shopping when I'm there at the East Tennessee Fishing Show.
Well,
Sure.
I look forward to meeting you, and I'm just real excited to do it. And my buddy Brian Chapman, Willamette Weapon Custom Lures, is going to be right next to me, and he does a phenomenal job with crankbaits, and I got to give him a shout out because he was a driving force for me to get to this show as well. So I appreciate him.
As I start scheduling, we do one of these podcasts every single week. I need to try to get him on next or the next couple of shows. So I'll be reaching out to him, and we'll get him on here too.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Flint, thanks so much, and we will see you very soon at the East Tennessee Fishing Show.
Thanks, sir.
There he goes, Flint from Battle Baits. And that is the end of another awesome episode here of the Outdoor Showcase. Don't forget, go to Amazon or Roku, download the Outdoor Showcase app, and watch 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, as long as you want. I'm Mike Delisco. We will see you here next time at the Outdoor Showcase.